Okay, here we go. Let's get right to it. It's Sunday, May 19th, and we have a real busy 72 hours in store here over Minnesota and Wisconsin. You can already see it developing right now here in Nebraska. This is the genesis now of what is going to be a 2 to 3 day event that eventually is going to push east and north towards Minnesota and Wisconsin. It's going to give us heavy rains, potential for severe weather too. All in all, just a real active period, something that we're not used to. It's been quiet actually the last couple of springs and summers, at least as far as severe weather is concerned. But I think we're going to get in on some pretty significant weather here over the next 72 hours. Hey, before we go any further, just wanted to let you know that a new sponsor of ours is taking care of this video for you and sponsoring it. It's called Wild Hair ATV Systems. Here they are. Awesome company. Of course, they believe in Novak Weather, and I believe in them. What they state is that if you're using a wheelbarrow and a shovel to do chores around your property, no worries. They'll take care of you from now on, and you don't need to do that because Wild Hair Manufacturing, they're a Minnesota company, all right? They manufacture hydraulic attachments for your ATVs. They've got loaders, snow blades, forks, cultivators, discs, blades, you name it. They've got it, and they attach it to your ATV equipment. Tough, rugged tools that gets results. Give Wild Hair Manufacturing a try, and don't forget, tell them that Novak Weather sent you. I would appreciate it. Okay, we're taking a look at now. This is the NAM computer model guidance. We're going to be focusing mostly on the NAM here as we go through this video, because guidance, there's quite a bit of consensus between the guidances. So whether it be the NAM computer model guidance, the GFS, the European guidance, UK Met, you name it, all the guidance that we look at, they're pretty much consistent on what's going to happen. And this is the NAM, like I had said. And I'm going to put this into today's latest. These are hot off the press now. Model guidance is coming down. And this is the jet stream, the river of air at 30 to 35,000 feet. And look at what we have tonight as we go into this evening and overnight. You can see a jet streak here. These are stronger winds within a jet stream located over North Dakota, southern Manitoba, and Minnesota, especially southern Minnesota and Wisconsin, is in the right rear quad of this jet streak. You can see it right here. This is as we get into Monday morning. So there's going to be some real good lift here over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin, northern Iowa too, by the way, as we go through the next 12 to 24 hours. And we're going to have an outbreak of showers and storms, some of them with real heavy rains over southern Minnesota. And then as I continue to put this forward and fast forward this into late Monday night and especially Tuesday, look at the setup that we have for Tuesday afternoon. And this is very important because this is when we could get a significant severe weather outbreak over southern Minnesota, Iowa, and western Wisconsin. We have one jet stream and jet streak over Manitoba and southern Ontario, and then another powerful jet streak surging northeast into Iowa. We are in the middle of these two jet streaks. Perfect area for storm development with heavy rains and potentially some severe weather, especially here over southern, southeastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin and over Iowa as this storm system cranks up. And it's going to have moisture to work with. These are the precipitable water values now. And here's the Gulf Coast. And of course, this is whenever we need rain, we like to get Gulf Coast air to move north into the upper Midwest. And watch what happens. Here we are tonight. Look at this. Look at this surge of moisture coming north into southern Minnesota. These are precipitable water values that are way above average here in the purple. So no doubt the potential for heavy rains overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. We get a break, and then here comes that second surge of moisture right straight out of the Gulf Coast and then north up the Mississippi River into southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. This sets the stage not only for heavy rains on Tuesday, but then the potential for severe weather, because we're going to have some warm air also coming up into southern Minnesota at that same time. Okay, now we're going to focus in on the upper Midwest and Midwest here. And this is the NAM 3K guidance, and we're looking at winds at about 20 to 25,000 feet. Now, I'm going to put this into motion, and Look at what happens tonight. This is later this afternoon now and tonight, and look at the strong winds that are developing. Let me rewind that again. I want you to look at the strong winds now that are going to be developing over Iowa here. Let me put this into motion one more time for you. There we go. Later this afternoon, you can see some strong winds in Iowa that actually move into southern Minnesota here. So we could certainly have some storms developing even later this afternoon and evening. But look at what happens late tonight and tomorrow morning. Look at these winds howling out of the south at about 20 to 25,000 feet into southern and southeastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. We're going to be on the nose of those winds, and that's a perfect area for storm development. When we go down in the atmosphere at about 15,000 feet or so in the atmosphere, again, you see the same thing. Look at these winds as we get into tomorrow mornings, probably between midnight and 6 a.m. These are some real strong winds that are penetrating north into southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Then even as we go down to 5,000 and 7,000 feet or so in our atmosphere, look at this low-level jet. And low-level jets are important for heavy rains and potentially strong thunderstorm events. And here it is, right around 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, a low-level jet will be punching into southern and southeastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Long story short, there is a great setup for heavy rains right in this area as we go through the next 12 to 24 hours. Now, I also wanted to concentrate, that's just the first event. Again, that's later tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Now, I wanted to look at Tuesday. Here's that break that we get on Monday. Not much in the way of strong winds in our atmosphere, but watch what happens on Tuesday. This is a Tuesday morning and then into the afternoon hours, and this is very concerning. Look at these strong winds in the low levels that are surging north into southern Minnesota, southeastern Minnesota, and western Wisconsin. There's going to be a low pressure system located right near Sioux Falls and a very strong warm front that'll be stretched almost right across the Twin Cities metro on into northern Wisconsin. This would be a triple point area here developing over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Perfect recipe for severe weather and heavy rains as we get into Tuesday. And to combine that, and not only were we going to have strong winds, but here are some CAPE values. And let's fast forward this. By the way, here are some CAPE values later tonight. Look at this. Enough energy in our atmosphere to produce some pretty big storms, even tonight over southeastern, southern Minnesota, western Wisconsin. But look at this. Here comes, there's Monday, not much in the way of energy, but here comes Tuesday. And look at what's happening over Iowa and then now southern Minnesota as we get into Tuesday afternoon and evening. Look at, these are CAPE values in excess of 3,000 joules. Yeah, I know that doesn't mean much to some of you, but that for in the weather industry, we consider this a severe weather event, at least the potential for it, right in this area here of northern Missouri, Iowa, southern and eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. So we really need to keep an eye on the sky here, not only tonight and tomorrow, but probably even more importantly as we get into Tuesday. And that's why I have for Tuesday now, I have areas from the Twin Cities metro on south and east in an area that really needs to pay attention to local outlets and National Weather Service for severe weather watches and warnings as we get into Tuesday, as again, a low pressure system surges northeast through southern Minnesota, western Wisconsin, and we get that strong warm front to move north into southern Minnesota and a jet streak punching into southern Minnesota. Perfect recipe for severe weather on Tuesday. And let's not forget about later tonight and tomorrow morning, that is, because there is the potential for heavy rains over much of southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. That's going to actually continue into Tuesday, of course. And that's one of the reasons why I've expanded this area for heavy rain up into the Minnesota Lakes country, as I think on the northern side of this low pressure system on Tuesday, there's going to be some heavy rains even in northern Minnesota. So great news for those that are suffering drought conditions, especially over northern Minnesota here, because I think we're going to get quite a bit of rain even throughout the whole state of Minnesota and Wisconsin as we go through the next 72 hours. But tonight, I think the main focus tonight for heavy rains will be right in this area here, which would be the Twin Cities, Rochester, Mankato, Eau Claire areas of southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. And last but not least, here's your extended forecast. Kind of an interesting forecast here. And temperatures are going to be really nice here the next 48 hours, today and tomorrow. But look at this. Tuesday's an interesting day. I think portions of central Minnesota are not going to make it out of the 50s, whereas southeastern Minnesota may be in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. So yeah, that's that warm front that's going to be right over the Twin Cities metro. So your guess is as good as mine on what the temperature will be in the Twin Cities. But then we have a real ugly day here for Wednesday. Winds are going to be strong at 20 to 35 miles per hour plus on Wednesday, with a temperature at best in the 60s, maybe even upper 50s. But Memorial Weekend, hey, not looking too bad right now. I think for the most part, Memorial Weekend may be dry, except for some scattered storms later Friday. But right now, I'm optimistic for a pretty darn nice Memorial Weekend across Minnesota and western Wisconsin. All right, we'll have a lot more for you on the severe weather event and heavy rain event here over the next 72 hours. More videos coming. Stay tuned. Take care. Thank you, Wild Hair, for sponsoring this video.